I just finished listening to my first audiobook. Grab a coffee and a blanket and let's chat. Hi, I'm Stephanie. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about audiobooks. Now, audiobooks are something I really tried to get into in the past, and I just was never able to. I would start listening and give up probably within the first chapter. My attention span apparently is very short when it comes to audio. Now I'm a mom of two, and I just don't have the time I used to sit down and actually read a physical copy of a book or read an ebook on my Kindle. I do read right before I go to bed, but it's not very long. So I thought I would give audiobooks a try again because I would be able to listen to them while I'm doing housework or cooking supper, or I do a fair amount of driving as well, so that was starting to be a little bit more appealing to me. Another reason I wanted to give audiobooks a chance is that I am releasing my first book in December 2nd. My debut novel is coming out, and I eventually would like to have an audiobook available for that. And I realized that I am basically clueless when it comes to audiobooks, so when trying to think about getting a narrator and just how it all works, I wanted to make sure I had some experience actually listening to audiobooks so that I could know what things that I like personally in an audiobook and what things I don't like. To give a little bit of backstory, I have always loved reading ever since I was a kid, and I guess I felt like an audiobook was cheating in a way, like you aren't really reading unless you're actually reading the words on the page. So I never actually even tried listening to an audiobook until after I got married. So my husband is not really a reader, but he will do audiobooks. And one time we were on our way to church shortly after getting married, and he was playing an audiobook while we were driving. We have about a 40-minute drive to church, so we had a decent amount of time. I actually ended up getting into it a little bit, but I just did not have the patience to sit there and listen to it with him over however many weeks it would have taken us to get through it together. So I cheated, and I went ahead and I got the book on my Kindle, and I finished reading it that way. But that was my first experience with an audiobook at all. And then more recently, I tried to get into them a couple times while driving, and I could not ever get myself to focus. I have a really hard time focusing on audio for some reason. It's easier for me to follow words on a page than it is for me to listen to them in my head. My mind wanders, and maybe that's a problem that I need to work on and just practice focusing a little bit more. But I was determined. So this time I decided I was going to complete the audiobook no matter what, even if it took me a really long time. So I went on Libby and I looked up a couple Christian fiction authors, and basically I just looked for one that was available now so I didn't have to wait for one on hold for however long. I ended up getting Submerged by Dani Pettrey. Again, mostly because there was no weight on it, but I also knew she was a really good author. I actually had seen that book on my mom's bookshelf several years back, and I had always wanted to read it and I never did. So I thought, hey, why not? We'll listen to the audiobook. So this isn't really a book review, but I will say the author is very good. I do recommend her writing, and I did enjoy Submerged even as an audiobook. So I definitely do recommend that one. The book was narrated by Christina, and I thought she was really good overall. I, again, don't have any experience with audiobooks, but I did find that the narration didn't bother me. There have been books in the past, some of those ones that I never finished. Part of the reason I never finished was because I didn't like the narrator. I didn't have any issues with the narrator for this one. I thought she did great. She did different voices for a lot of the characters, which at first I found distracting, and then I started to enjoy it as I got more into the book. It was kind of nice because sometimes you would know who was talking even before you heard the dialogue tag. I did find myself getting into the book, and that's the first time that that's ever happened with an audiobook for me, so that was a fun experience. I did feel like it took a really long time to finish compared to a physical book. Again, I don't really have that much time to read, but I am a very fast reader, so I can sit down and I can read through a novel very quickly. When I had a lot more free time, like back when I was in high school or maybe the beginning of my college experience, I could easily sit down and read through 3 novels in a day, no big deal. Now I just do not have the time, but I can still read very, very fast. So I did feel like the audiobook was a little slower for me. I know you can speed up the narration, but I found that if I put it much above 1.5 or 1.75, it kind of made me feel stressed out, and so I didn't really ever increase the speed too much. So things I liked. I liked the book, which again, that doesn't really have anything to do with the audiobook experience. I already knew that Dani Pettrey was a good author, and I have several family members that had read Submerged, and I knew they liked it, and we have similar tastes, so I was expecting to like the book itself. But what did I actually like about the audiobook? First of all, I really did like the narrator. I thought she was good. I liked that I was able to listen while doing things, so doing my dishes or cooking supper or driving. It did make those things a little bit more enjoyable for me, and it was cool to be able to complete a book while getting things done around the house. Also, as much as I do have a hard time focusing on audio, it was very good practice for me because I do have a really bad tendency to zone out while listening to things. Even listening to people talk to me, sometimes my mind just starts wandering. So it was probably really good for me to just focus on listening to something. So things that I disliked. I love the visual of words on a page. I like to see how things are spelled, how they're laid out, and I missed that. This book in particular did have quite a few Russian names and places in it, and I really would have liked to see how those were spelled. I did look up some of the characters' names in like reviews and stuff just so I could see how those were spelled because I was curious. I also felt like it wasn't as relaxing as just reading a book in a way because I was doing things. So it wasn't that it was stressful to listen to it. It did make the chores more enjoyable, but it made the book less enjoyable, if that makes sense, because I missed just being able to sit down and feel all cozy and enjoy reading a book. So it was a completely different experience than just reading. Now here's where I would like some discussion. Do audiobooks count as books read? Like, do I mark these on my Goodreads challenge as books that I've completed this year? I have mixed feelings about it because in a way, yes, I'm consuming a book, if that's the right word, but I also didn't actually read the words on the page. So I feel like if I add it to my reading challenge that, I don't know, is that cheating? Let me know in the comments. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking people that like audiobooks. In fact, I actually think one of the biggest things that I learned while doing this was that audiobooks definitely have their place, especially for people that are very busy or people that are driving a lot, because it gives them a way to still experience books even if they don't have the time to sit down and actually read them. I think for me, I'm always going to prefer reading on my Kindle, but I do plan to make audiobooks a part of my life from now on. I'm still not sure if I'm going to count them towards my reading goal, but I really did like that I could listen to books while I was accomplishing things around the house. So that was very appealing to me. So overall, I do feel like it was a really good experience. I do plan to keep listening to audiobooks. Like I said, I am currently 18% of the way through my next audiobook, which is Allegiance by Lisa Phillips and narrated by Chloe Pfeiffer, I think is how you say it. Let me know if you think I should count that towards my reading goal. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.